You send a crucial text, make a vulnerable point, or ask a direct question in a meeting. And then, nothing. The typing bubble vanishes, the room goes quiet, you are left alone with your own anticipation. We usually brush this off. We assume the other person is overwhelmed with work, momentarily distracted, or perhaps just naturally quiet. But when used with intent, that lack of response is a strategy. Silence and engineered distance are psychological tools designed to drain your leverage. Because this relies on what isn't happening, it often bypasses our normal defenses. There is no shouting and no obvious hostility. You are fighting an absence, which makes it difficult to recognize the manipulation until you are already reacting to it. A temporary argument ends. Silence doesn't. When a response is withheld, the power balance shifts. You stop asking questions, and the other person begins to set the rules of the interaction without saying a single word. To understand this, we have to separate hesitation from strategy. Passive silence comes from anxiety, the quiet of someone afraid of judgment. Intentional silence projects self-control and confidence. We are hardwired to resolve the unknown. In nature, a lack of clarity was a threat to survival, so we instinctively search for closure to feel secure. Silence creates a gap in the conversation. As anxiety rises, you might find yourself rushing to fill it. You apologize for things you didn't do or offer concessions you never intended, simply to break the tension and restore a sense of peace. This timeline shows the economic principle of scarcity in a conversation. Words, when plentiful, lose their value. But when someone starves an interaction of dialogue, their rare responses carry more weight. All your rapid inputs are suddenly offset by a single, timed phrase. This tactic is visible on the global stage. During the iPhone launch, Steve Jobs introduced the device and then let seconds of quiet stretch across the auditorium. He allowed the audience's anticipation to peak before he said another word. Or consider the 2008 financial crisis. Markets were collapsing, and the airwaves were flooded with screaming headlines and frantic predictions. While everyone else shouted, Warren Buffett stayed quiet for days. He withheld his reaction, projecting unshakable composure. When he finally spoke, the entire financial world stopped to listen. This absence of reaction can also function as intimidation. In high-stakes meetings, Vladimir Putin is known for letting pauses drag out, staring impassively to unnerve his counterparts into making careless mistakes. By staying quiet, the manipulator avoids the exhaustion of a debate. You do all the emotional work yourself, effectively handing over control while they simply watch. Silence softens the target. It makes you anxious and ready to listen. And once that hook is set, a controlling individual often pivots to a larger structural strategy, social isolation. Psychological isolation occurs when your alternative sources of advice, perspective, and comfort are cut off. It ensures you become dependent on one person for everything. It often starts with quiet doubt. They plant seeds, suggesting your closest friends are secretly using you, or that your family just doesn't understand your situation. This network shows how your social circle protects you. A healthy connection acts as a reality check. If you describe toxic behavior to a friend, they recognize it. To maintain control, the manipulator has to cut those lines of communication. As those peripheral voices fade out, your world shrinks. When you need advice or a sanity check, there is only one voice left in the room to provide it. In a romantic relationship, this looks like a partner picking fights right before you leave to see friends, or using guilt to suggest you're choosing others over them, until it's simply easier to cancel your plans. At work, a manager might reassign you to solitary tasks, or quietly create friction between you and your colleagues, ensuring you never build a coalition of support. Silence hollows you out by creating a gap in your confidence. Isolation builds a wall around that gap, ensuring the manipulator is the only person allowed to fill it. Once you recognize you're in this cycle of absence, you have to actively dismantle it. The first rule is simple: do not chase the silence. When someone ignores your message or lets a pause drag out, lean into the quiet. Refuse to double text, and refuse to fill their empty space with your own nervous concessions. Next, demand clarity. Ask direct questions and require explicit answers.
The unspoken only holds power when you allow it to remain vague. Forcing direct communication removes their cover. You also have to protect your external ties. Call your family, maintain your friendships, and keep your hobbies. Those outside perspectives act as an immune system against anyone trying to monopolize your reality. Internally, you need to shift your posture. Instead of meeting their withdrawal with desperation, meet it with detached observation. Watch the game without volunteering to be a piece on the board. Someone needing space or being naturally quiet is a neutral occurrence. But when distance is actively used to shrink your world and keep you off balance, it is a hostile act. Maintain your external anchors, stand firm in the silence, and that empty space will lose its power to command you.